We play and call it work.
Hey folks, Janene from MiniWarGaming here with another how-to video for you. In today's video, we're going to continue painting the Skarre Queen of the Broken Coast model, and I'm going to take you through one of the ways I paint black, kind of raveny hair. As always, if you have suggestions for what you'd like to see in future how-to videos, go ahead and leave them down below in the comments. Now, Skarre was primed black, and then I also sprayed the entire model with a flat matte black with my airbrush before I started painting her. But if that's not the case on your miniature, make sure that you paint the entirety of the hair with some kind of black, Abaddon black or something, just so you get a nice, flat, dark, matte black. So the first color we're going to use is going to be Incubi Darkness. And when I put this on my palette, I'm going to make sure to mix it with just a little bit of Lamy and Medium to make sure that I get a nice workable consistency. Now we're going to paint this Incubi Darkness just about everywhere that's not in the darkest shadow. We want to leave a few places with that nice flat black, but we're going to be putting this color everywhere else. And the places we want to leave in shadow are going to be the areas where the hair transitions to another part of the miniature, so right next to the skin or where it goes into the jacket, just so we can make sure that we have maximum contrast there. And then we also want to make sure that we keep the dark shadow on the underside of the hair as it flows out to the side. There's waves that are in shadow, so that's going to be black as well. The areas that we want to make sure that we paint are going to be in a circle around the crown of the head, and then the very top of this flowing hair as it waves out to the side. Also, the area that's right next to her face, that's where we're going to highlight the hair the most, because that's going to draw the focal point more towards the face. So we definitely want to make sure that we get a nice coat on these bang sections. Alright, now that we have a base color down, we're going to start highlighting that. Our first highlight is going to be Dark Reaper. Again, I'm mixing this with a little bit of Lamy and Medium on my palette. And I'm just going to continue painting this on and being more selective as I highlight to build up a nice gradient. So again, I'm going to concentrate this color especially toward her face and in a halo around the crown of the head. Just slowly building up the color to get a nice layered highlight. Now this hair has a lot of sculpted strands, and in theory we would want to have the top of that strand be brighter than the recess. Right now I'm not worried about that. I'm painting the entirety of the hair because I'm going to take care of that later with a GW shade. Another easy way to catch just the top ridges of the hair is by doing a dry brush. Here's Skarre after the Dark Reaper's been applied. Our next highlight is going to be with Thunderhawk Blue. And I'm going to do a very same process as I did with the Dark Reaper. I'm going to highlight the same areas, being a little bit more selective so that some of the Dark Reaper continues to show through. Also, as I highlight this hair on her shoulder, I'm going to pick a few sections and drag the highlight down a little bit. Kind of starting from the crown of the head and then tapering it as it goes into the waves of hair. That's just going to give the highlight a little bit more movement, a little bit more dimension, which is going to really complement this sculpt, since the sculpt has a lot of movement in the hair as well. And again, I want to make sure that I get this area right next to her face nice and bright so that it creates a focal point and your eyes are drawn to the face. Alright, my last highlight is going to be using Dawnstone. This is much more of a neutral color versus my previous layers, which have had a tint of blue to them. Now this color is considerably brighter than the others, so I'm going to be very selective with how I use it. I'm going to make sure that I get the area right next to the face, the tops of these hair swooshes, and then I also want to do just a few tapers at the very crown of the head in kind of a halo. But I'm not doing the whole crown of the head. I'm just being very selective because I don't want to lighten the model too much. I just want to add a final highlight, a final little pop and hint of contrast. Now that we have everything highlighted, we're going to do a little bit of shading just to make sure that we get paint into the very recesses of these hair strands. And for this step, we're going to do a little bit of Nuln Oil. Now I'm going to put this on most of the hair, but not all of it. I want to make sure that I concentrate the color in the areas that are in the most shadow. I'm going to completely leave alone the areas that are in the most highlight, specifically the bang right by the face. And then I'm going to play around with the paint a little bit and pull it around so that even though the paint's concentrated in the areas that are in shadow, I pulled it into some of the other areas to create a little bit of a gradient. I'm going to add one final shade, and that's going to be Druchii Violet. I'm not going to use a lot of this color because I want to make sure that I don't do too much purple, since the boots and the gloves happen to be purple. But I'm going to put this in just a few areas of the darkest shadow to give it a little bit more tint, a little bit more vibrancy, since it has a little bit of color in it. And then once the shades are dry, I'm going to go back with my Dawnstone and just pick out a few areas that I do want to be a little bit brighter, that have been dulled down with the shades on the model. I'm really just picking out a few hairs to highlight. That way I can bump up the contrast, which makes things a little bit more visually interesting without actually brightening the model too much, because I do still want this hair to look like it's very dark. Here's the model now that the hair's complete. Let me give her a twirl so you can see the entirety of the miniature. There are a lot of different ways to paint black. This is just one of them. But it's one more trick to have up your sleeve when you go to paint your own minis. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more how-to videos, I have another one where I'm going to paint the bone on this Scar model in the MiniWarGaming Vault, and the link down below in the description. If you don't have a Vault membership, go ahead and click the link. You can get a 7-day free trial and get access to my video as well as hundreds of other videos in the MiniWarGaming Vault. So go ahead, click the link, start your free trial, and happy wargaming!